Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Lori Williams, and today I want to talk to you about what to do when self-care isn't working. So unfortunately, in today's modern age, the term self-care has become more of a catchphrase than something that's actually meaningful. And if your self-care routine is all about, buying yourself fancy drinks or getting your toes and your nails painted, you may be missing the mark on what true self-care looks like, and why, buying yourself the fancy things, going out and, doing some retail therapy, why it might be self-care that's short-lived. Self-care essentially should be something where you can see changes happening. So if you are doing your self-care and you're only feeling less stress while you're doing that self-care practice, it may not be the right self-care routine for you. And I would encourage you to go a little bit deeper with it. So first and foremost, self-care should not be about fixing yourself. I see far too often where we take ourselves on as a project. And although it's great to encourage growth within yourself and try to always be better than you were yesterday, it's about improving and evolving rather than fixing. So if you have an underlying belief that there's something, inherently wrong with you, that you need to constantly fix yourself, this is going to put a lot more stress on you. It's going to put a lot more, it's going to put a lot more of it's going to feel more like a to-do list, that you're a project that you're just working on. And that's not the way that it is at all. That self-care should not feel like just something else on your to-do list. Self-care is meant to support. It's meant to help you heal. It's meant to help you grow. But the biggest part of what a lot of people unfortunately miss with self-care is to do the deep inner healing work. That is where you really shine in self-care, is doing that deep inner healing work. All the other surface stuff is just fluff. The deep inner work is where the self-care is at. Self-care should never be about coping, so that you don't have to heal. It's not something that you're doing instead of healing, because then the root issue remains untouched, and the issues that have caused you to want to or to need to do a self-care routine, they're not going to change for you, unfortunately. So when your self-care routine doesn't work for you, like I said, I definitely encourage you to go deeper with it and find out, are you doing the deep inner work? Are you looking at the things that scares you to look at? Are you working on the things within yourself that are going to actively push you forward rather than keeping you stuck where you are? The one thing that I wanted to make sure that is very, very clear is that if you are in a traumatic, broken environment, hostile environment, there's no amount of self-care that you can do in that environment that's going to help you. At that point, it becomes a life-saving mission of self-care rather than a healing. When you're in survival mode, you can't heal. The two of those do not happen on the same plane. You need to be out of that survival mode in order to do the healing. Not even out of it, but not be in an environment that is actively putting you in that survival mode. So if your self-care routine is not working for you, something else that you can look at is your nervous system dysregulated. A lot of the times our nervous system becomes dysregulated when we have been in a long-term chronic state of stress, of burnout, of anxiety, of depression. All of those things cause our nervous system to be dysregulated. And our nervous system actually can act in a very habitual kind of way. So let's say if for the last 5 years, I have been in this constant state of chronic stress, chronic anxiety, chronic depression, then my nervous system would be regulated or dysregulated in a way that I would always be in survival mode, even though I'm not currently still in that. So it's really about recognizing when you feel safe, when you know your outside circumstances allow you to feel safe, does it feel safe on the inside? Or do you look for things that make you feel unsafe in order to allow your nervous system to feel something? Because like I said, it's very habitual. And even though you feel safe, it could still be on high alert and trying to keep you safe. And this is where the dysregulation comes. So it's very, very important that as you're doing the deep inner work, that you're paying attention to this nervous system and making sure that what you're actually feeling, what you're actually thinking is also being reflected in how your nervous system feels, in how safe you feel, how calm you feel, how relaxed, how like peaceful. Even peace is probably one of the higher states that I always encourage my clients to get to with their nervous system regulation, is because when you have peace, your nervous system is happy and it's calm, and it's not in fight or flight. It's found peace as well. If your self-care routine is not working for you, like I said before, you could be definitely skipping the emotional work. There is nothing else you can do to bypass the emotional work. The only way to get through it is to get through it. And I would never lie and say it was easy. I would never say that it's, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of different avenues to it. There's a lot of different like moving parts to it. And sometimes, you're going to feel a lot of things. You can feel anger, you can feel sad, you can feel happy, you can feel joy, you can feel love, you can feel resentment. And a lot of those times you can feel all those emotions one after the other. So it doesn't always necessarily make sense. But in these times, when I work with my clients to help them through this deep inner work healing, through the holistic counseling that I offer, what we do is we sit down and we allow all of those emotions to be okay. We allow all of those emotions to be felt because they all have a message. There's always something that they're trying to tell you. And that's the point of them. The point isn't to hold on to them. The point is to get the message that they're trying to convey and to do something with it. And then you can release the emotion. So as hard as it can be to get through the emotional work, it's also so beautiful on the other end of it. It's absolutely beautiful of what comes out of the healing that comes out of that emotional work. There's nothing more beautiful in that I've ever experienced personally than going through that work. It's not easy, but it's 1,000 times worth it. I would go through it all again. I mean, my clients will say the same thing. We go through it all again to be that healed version of who we are. So if your self-care routine is not working for you, make sure you are doing the emotional work part of it. That's, like I said, that is the height of self-care, is feeling your feelings and validating yourself and doing all the things that you need to do for yourself. One other thing that you may be doing if you've noticed that your self-care routine isn't working for you is you may be trying to do a one-size-fits-all. There is no two people in this world that will ever heal the same, because even though we may have, like say abuse for an example, we may both have, that same trauma of abuse, but how, say, I would perceive that versus how you would perceive it, your lived experience versus my lived experiences. I mean, it's like apples and oranges. You can't even compare the two. So to make sure that what you're doing for yourself and the healing path that you're going down is specifically geared for you and not a one-size-fits-all. Healing is not a one-size-fits-all. And if you're trying to fit yourself into this box and into this mold of expectation based on what others are doing or what you've seen on social media, I guarantee you're going to be disappointed time and time again. You need either for yourself or have somebody like me that can help you to devise a healing plan that is 100% geared to you. It's your path. I tell my clients all the time, this is your path. This is your journey. You're steering the ship. I'm just navigating, of telling you, like which path to go down. That's all I'm that's all I'm doing. I'm telling you the steps it takes to get to where you want to be. You get to decide how to get there and what that looks like. And I think that's a lot of the beauty too, is the fact that in healing yourself, you're actually taking a lot of the power back that has been taken from you through the life experiences that you've had. Self-care, like I said, it's a beautiful process. It's not easy, but it's 100% worth it. And self-care is going to be needed as you're going through that. But make sure you are prioritizing yourself. It's never too late to start your own self-care routine, but make sure that you're not just doing the surface level fluff work. there's a whole other world of work that goes on underneath, and that's where true healing and true peace is going to come from. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you back here next time.